Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of Musical Theater Chat. And as you can already guess what today's topic is, Phantom of the Opera. And yes, the mask did mess up my hair, but it's fine. So I am here today with one of my really good friends, Adelaide.
Best friend. Bonjour. Hello, everyone.
And we will be talking about Phantom of the Opera. Adelaide is slightly obsessed with Phantom of the Opera. So that's why I asked Adelaide to be in the Phantom episode.
Phantom of the Opera is actually what got me into music. I have a background in choir and I was classically trained in opera. But when I watched Phantom of the Opera when I was 12 for the first time, it's what inspired me to go actually take music classes and voice lessons. And then I got involved in musical theater and choir. And I was actually Christine Daae in our high school variety show.
So Adelaide, you saw it when you were 12. Did you see it live? Did you see the movie?
Okay, so I have a confession. I have never seen a Broadway show, ever, in my life.
As her best friend who has seen a couple, I'm not a good best friend, and I need to change that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you make up for it with all the stuff you've seen. But, I mean, my first time I saw it was, of course, the movie, which I fell in love. I've watched it a million times. And then
we will see a Broadway show together soon.
The book, of course, I love that. In choir, my choir binder I had stickers and everything all over it, but then I had my favorite quote. Christine Daae's dad would tell her stories. He says, "Every great musician and every great artist receives a visit from the angel at least once in his life," talking about the angel of music. And that's my favorite quote because we're all artists. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably involved in the arts somehow. And so it's just so nice to think about. We've all been visited by the angel of music.
I like that. I like that a lot. I haven't read the book yet. You've seen the movie. You haven't seen the live production. I haven't seen the live production either. I haven't seen any live productions of Phantom, and I really want to.
Someday.
And we'll sit in box 5.
Oh my God, no, we'll get killed.
Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote a sequel to Phantom of the Opera. It's called Love Never Dies, and I'm obsessed with it. So, what are your thoughts on Love Never Dies, Adelaide?
No. Okay, the original book by Gaston Leroux, that is the Phantom of the Opera. There's nothing, you guys have to read it because Gaston Leroux was actually a reporter. He was a journalist. And so the style that Phantom of the Opera is written in it's like an investigation. It's like he was investigating the opera house. So it's so freaking cool. And Love Never Dies is just...
Have you seen it?
No, I refuse. I refuse.
It's good.
I'm not a fan.
For everybody watching, this is a prime example of this with Love Never Dies. Phantom fans either love it or they hate it. I'm also sort of biased to Love Never Dies because the original Christine Daae in Love Never Dies was Sierra Vargas. And she's amazing. She also then went to play Christine on Broadway. Before she did any of that, before she played Ariel on Broadway, she was Christine in Vegas before she did any of that.
Since we're on the talk of people who have played Christine.
Sarah Brightman.
Yeah, I did not like her voice. I know that's probably a controversial thing to say. She is not my favorite Christine. That's all I'm going to say.
I love Sarah Brightman. Phantom would not be what it was if there was not Sarah Brightman, but I agree. I think the reason why we don't like Sarah Brightman's voice to it is because I think especially our generation, we didn't so much grow up with just hearing the cast recording we had Emmy Rossum in our ear from the movie.
Yeah. Did you know that Gerard Butler did not have a single voice lesson when he played Phantom of the Opera? That's one of the reasons I'm in love with him. It's really hard. Okay, I'm one of those people, Damian can confirm, that I will always be like, the book was so much better than the movie. Like, I am like the poster girl for that. But here's my thing with my first love for Phantom of the Opera was the movie. So it has like a very special place
So
in my
you're
heart.
biased to the movie.
Yes, but the book is so incredible. And the truth is, it's almost like, I don't want to say like it's like two different stories, but it almost is to me. Like there's so many like little details in the book that just aren't a part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like Christine Daae's hair is blonde in the book. Her hair, she's blonde. She's from Norway, or I think she's from like Norway. She's like a blonde, you know. And the Phantom, even how he's described, he looks different in the book than he does in the movie.
Please comment below if you want more episodes with Adelaide of all musicals that started as books. Thank you.
Please do that. Please. Anybody watching this, do that. I would love that.
Those watching too, please comment and answer this question I'm about to ask Adelaide yourself, because I'm curious. Who would you rather, in the love triangle, for those of you who've never heard about Phantom of the Opera, have never seen it or read it, there is a love triangle in Phantom of the Opera. It consists between Christine, the Phantom, and Raoul. So if you had to pick, Adelaide, if you were Christine, would you pick Raoul or would
Phantom,
you pick Phantom?
Eric.
Okay.
Okay, I know that that's probably not the smart thing to do or whatever, but like, I mean, when you're like I'm in love with it. Like when you're a little girl, you know, like how when you watch your first Disney princess and you're just like, you know, I wanted to run away with him and live under the opera house and sing and make music, and I wanted him to be my music teacher and all that. So
For that
I thought
answer,
about this for a long time.
for that answer, you need to watch Love Never Dies.
Okay, I'll do it for you. Yes.
Which does Eric, and those of you who do not know, the Phantom's real name is Eric, character personify more, creativity or destruction?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, this is hard for me to say because I'm in love with him. But honestly, destruction, because all of his creativity is also about control.
Mm-hmm.
And when he loses that control, he destroys. So, like, for example, they weren't going to let Christine sing the aria. He killed somebody.
I'll watch this movie now.
I mean, when the chandelier drops, that's him saying, you better do what I say because I'm in control. Like, you love him because you feel bad for him, and you love him because of, like, he's so in love with her. Like, he'd do anything for her. But you're also scared of him because he can just, like that, like, turn.
Within Love Never Dies, so it's 10 years later after Phantom happens. So the opera house is burned down. Years after Christine and Raoul are running away, everybody's running down to the catacombs underneath the opera house to get to the Phantom. We don't know what happens. So here's what happens in bits and pieces of Love Never Dies, because I want you to watch. So the Phantom runs off to Coney Island, and he starts running. Yes, he runs off to Coney Island in the United States, and he starts running, like, he has all these free shows and side shows, and Madame Giry and Meg go with him.
What?
Yes. They, like, save him, and then Meg starts falling in love with the Phantom. So we get another love triangle.
Next question.
Back to Phantom of the Opera, because we've jumped a lot between Love Never Dies and Phantom.
I don't know. I know, like, I'm sure a lot of girls, like, I always thought Raoul was boring. Like, he comes, I don't know, like, he's very protective and sweet and loving of Christine, and that's why he is good for her, and he wants what's best for her. He wants to protect her and take care of her. And that's kind of like his whole character, is just wanting to save her. which, is honorable because she does need help. She's very young and she is in a very bad situation. And he loves her.
Well, I mean, the sweet thing too is like they were childhood friends.
Yeah. Like they really genuinely have a connection and they have a genuine bond. And that is sweet. But I don't know. It's a hard question for me to answer. I love Eric so much just because he's like the adventure part.
I think for most people, we're scared of things we don't understand, which for a lot of people in if we lived in the world of Phantom of the Opera, that's why Phantom is treated like he is and why he was always abused and mistreated. Like he didn't look like everybody else and he was disformed. And that's why so many people track to Raoul. But I think Raoul wins for people as a character is once you get to All I Ask of You, because once you get to All I Ask of You, he's there to help Christine.
Mm-hmm. And since you're on the topic of talking about how the Phantom was different than everyone else, that's another thing that's more prevalent in the book because he was when he was a young boy, he was like on show in a freak show, and like the way he's described, the original black and white, which you can watch, it's online, you can find it. The original black and white kind of did a better job of portraying what he looked like in the book because it said that his skin was parchment, like a parchment texture, and it was yellow. He had yellowed skin, and his face was deformed.
Wasn't the original wasn't it a silent movie?
Yes, it is a silent movie. And it says he looks like a monster, and he did. And in the movie, he just looks like he has like part of his face is deformed, but in the actual story, he's completely like deformed, and his face is deformed. His eyes are scary, and he looks like a monster. And it's interesting you brought that up, just because it is so much more dramatic in the book in that area. Like in the book, like you kind of appreciate Raoul a little bit more than in the movie, because there's just so much more of him. He's just so much more prevalent. You get to know him more. So
Watch the staged taping at Royal Albert Hall, and in the stage show you get a little bit more beef to Raoul.
Yeah. What is your opinion though? Do you prefer the Phantom like as the love interest?
I understand where the Phantom's coming from, because like somebody who is like, no, I'm not deformed, but is like somebody who is like, love has not been your like easiest thing. Phantom is so popular with fans of Phantom because so many people relate more to Phantom than they relate to Raoul. He's there and he does help Christine, because in the end he does save Christine from the Phantom. He basically risked his life to save Christine.
Yeah, like he put his life completely on the line for her. Like he was gonna die.
Hold your hand to the level of your eye.
That isn't like something to take lightly, is that he does have a huge control issue, and it's not like a healthy relationship. I'm not saying that like Christine and him have a healthy relationship, or that he is a healthy person. Like he is not okay. He is very controlling, and that's never okay. I'm not like saying that's okay and that I would want to be in a relationship like that. I just like the mystery around him.
What is your favorite song in Phantom of the Opera?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked this. So I have two, and they're for different reasons. So my first favorite, which is probably like my main one, is Think of Me, because that was like my big performance. So it has like a special place in my heart. Like it feels like it's mine, So Think of Me. Also, Emmy Rossum just killed it with that. She was amazing. And then my second favorite, surprisingly, is Past the Point of No Return, because I think it's just like so, I don't know, like it's just like so mysterious and dark sounding. I just love like the drama of it. It's very dramatic. And I love that scene in the movie too. Like that's one of my favorite scenes.
I have three. I also really like Past the Point of No Return, because that's when everything is going crazy and everybody starts singing on top of each other, which I always love when that happens. I love Prima Donna, because that one is just all of the different things with that, even though like I have a love-hate relationship with the character of Carlotta, but I just think she's hilarious.
Yes.
And then lastly, I'm a romantic, so I love all I ask of you.
Okay. If you have three, that's my third one is Music of the Night. It's just like, it's so beautiful.
All of Andrew Lloyd
That was
Webber's
my answer.
scores are incredibly beautiful.
Do you think that Sarah Brightman only got the part of Christine Day because of her relationship with Andrew Lloyd Webber?
I do not think that is
Okay.
entirely the case. I think it helps. She was in workshops for Phantom before it opened. So she's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what inspired Andrew to write Phantom, how he did it. I think a lot of the Phantom Christine story is the two of them. And it breaks my heart a lot for Andrew. When it opened, it had a bunch of issues. I just want to find its opening date. So it opened in 1988. So when that happened, police cars and the boat that the Phantom and Christine ride in when they're underneath the opera house, somehow the whatever technological settings for the boat got linked to the police radio system, and the boat decided to want to try to go into the orchestra pit.
I will say on a side note, if you don't believe in ghosts, you should, because as a nurse, I can confirm that there is stuff that goes on, and there are ghosts. They're real. I'm confirming
Well,
that.
that's why many theaters right now have all their ghost lights on.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's another thing I love about the book, though, is that it talks about all, like, under the stage. Like, it talks about, like, the actual structure of the opera house.
She came to see a variety show my theater class had put on.
Support the arts. And that's, you know, honestly, that might be why we bonded so much. We've been through so much together. Like, we really have. That's a whole other
That's
episode,
true.
though.
That's like 5 episodes.
Will you go to Broadway with me and watch Phantom of the Opera when this whole thing's over?
Yes. I just want to say thank you for me and Adelaide, for everybody watching. And as Adelaide is a nurse, and I have family members who are all nurses as well, thank you to our healthcare professionals right now through all of this crazy. And
Oh.
as I said in the last video, we all need to remember that there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and it's going to be okay. We just have to remember to be there for each other and hang out like this. Love you
Support
all.
each other.
Like and subscribe, and look out for all of the other videos that Adelaide's going to be in now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Love you, Damian. Bye.
Bye.